don't buy a home in Las Vegas, Nevada. Coming up next, this market watch is simple, but it is eye-opening, and I am getting right to it on the other side. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for checking out this video. I think you'll find it very intriguing as to what is going on and why you should not buy in Las Vegas, Nevada right now in particular. So check it out. This is what I got going on. First of all, I'm going to give you the 7-day market update here in a second, and I have a lot of insights to go over on that. It is definitely a must watch if you're interested in Las Vegas real estate at all. So, hey, check it out here. I got 3 reasons that you do not want to buy in Las Vegas, Nevada right now, and really maybe anywhere, okay? Reason number 1, if you're planning on selling the home in less than 2 or 3 years and maybe a little bit longer, you probably don't want to buy a home right now. That's just not a smart move, and maybe not at any time. I think you want to buy a home with the intention to live in it for a number, at least your primary residence, to live in it for a number of years, let that equity build up, and get full use out of the home, get full value out of that purchase. So if you're thinking, you know what, I don't know, I'm not sure about Las Vegas, maybe just rent for a little while, and certainly do your due diligence and come to town, check it out. You got to know whether or not this is the landing spot for you for a little bit longer term before you make the investment to buy a home. It sounds simple, but some folks don't think about that, and they find themselves in a position where they haven't looked down the road far enough. We do need to look down the road and say, what could happen? What do I want to happen? Maybe renting makes sense in that situation. Number 2, if your credit isn't really good, I would say you don't want to buy right now. You want to get that credit fixed up. If you're using cash, that's a different story. Cash is owning the table right now, and you can do a lot of damage as far as getting a good property at a great buy right now with cash. But if you're using credit, you want your credit to be as high as possible, because what's going to happen is that your credit is going to dictate the rate that you get. And if you don't have great credit, your rate is going to be higher, and that's the last thing you want right now. So that's something to think about for sure. And finally, your mortgage payment needs to be comfortable, okay? I do see this a lot. This is what I call what's been happening in lower price ranges. It's been compressing because people are being smart and buying a lower price property instead of getting a higher mortgage on a more expensive property. They're buying a lower price property, kind of saying, okay, I'll work with this. I'm going to compromise a little bit, maybe get a smaller property and things like that to make sure that the mortgage payment is comfortable. I think that's always important. If you're stretching yourself, it's kind of silly. Don't think you're just going to make more money in the future and you'll be fine. You really want to make sure you're okay, even if you're pinched a little bit at some point as far as financially. And that's super important to me. I always take a look at that when I'm working with somebody and their situation. We definitely have to have that conversation. So yeah, just don't buy above your means. Generally speaking, the bank isn't going to let you do that anyway. For myself, at least, I have thresholds that I want to be at, okay? I want to be able to save more money. Maybe I'm not going to be wanting to spend as much on my mortgage every month. So make sure that's happening. Really, those are the 3 big reasons in my mind not to buy. If you don't like renting, well, then buying is your option. And I do think that Las Vegas has a very good long-term outlook. So I say don't buy if you're in certain situations. Renting might be more of the way to go. But if you're in a situation and it makes sense, I think Las Vegas is going to be very, very strong as time goes on. It has been proving that as of late. A lot of stability. All right, 7-day market update. This is really important to pay attention to, in my opinion. This is kind of taking things down to a more micro level of what is happening, what listings are coming on, and what is being sold. every month I'm going to give you the market update from the Las Vegas Realtors, but I want to throw in this market update if I can, maybe not every week, but I'm going to put it in as much as possible because I do find it to be, in particular right now when we have inventory shortages, we want to know what's happening with inventory. So what is happening with inventory? Well, you add up, you got new listings on the market, back on market. I'm looking at that right here. As you can see, I'm going to put my little arrow on that. New listings, 745 new listings this week. Back on markets, 170. This has been happening a lot and that probably is an inflated number. I think the last time I did it was around 160. Properties are coming back on market for various reasons. More often probably right now than they would in the past. That is partially because some people are really on the threads of what they can afford, and because people do not want to spend more money on a property. So when they get to the inspection phase and they find out there's a problem with that property, they're going to bail out on it, and then that property comes back on the market. So there's a number of reasons why that happens, but it's not really alarming. It happens, and it's not alarming because ultimately when you add it all up, you got 745 new listings, 170 back on market, and then we'll add in 64 coming soon. That adds up to 939 properties of 7-day viable inventory. Okay, I'm going to go into the full inventory here real quick. I'm going to breeze over this, but it's going to surprise you a little bit. Okay, 939. But when we add up what we have under contract show, which as I've said before, it says you can still show that property, but it's under contract, so rarely does it get shown. Rarely do we really consider that viable inventory, but for whatever reason, the seller has decided they want to make that property still available. For example, I had a property that they said until the appraisal comes in, we want to be able to show it. We never got anybody to ask to see it because people generally ignore that. But so it's not really viable inventory. Anyway, you got 330 there. You got 625 no show. That means they're off the market. They have a contingent offer on the property. Okay, we're going to add in the solds for this last week, and then we're going to say expired, temporarily off the market, withdrawn, and withdrawn conditional. That adds up to nearly 1,800 properties, around 1,800 properties that are not viable inventory. And even if you knock out the 558 solds and say, okay, those were already in escrow, so technically those just moved to the goner mark, for sure gone area, we obviously have, over 1,200 properties that would not be viable, not really be viable for purchase. So that tells me we're not filling back up the coffers of inventory as quickly as you would normally see, as far as you're getting more stuff going away from you as a buyer than stuff coming on for you as a buyer. I would point out as well on this 7-day, always, I want to show you what's price decreases. Now, these price decreases are happening because sellers clearly have overpriced their property. They put it on the market for too much to begin with, and now they're decreasing their price. This isn't a price decrease on properties that are well priced. I can assure you of that. If a property is well priced for what it is, it's getting a lot of attention. I just had a property that I had a client offer on that got 10 offers. It was well priced. Okay, that is happening. In my listings that I put on, they are getting multiple offers when we price them well. Getting a lot of showings still. The activity is down, but because we have low inventory and also not viable inventory, there's still enough activity to take that inventory, and people are having a hard time finding the better homes. I would even point this out, folks. There are 61 price increases that have happened. Now, those have been definitely more rare, but I've been seeing it, and it happens in this way sometimes. Not all of these are going to be this way, but let me tell you one tactic that's being used. Okay, so a seller puts a property on at a very, very good price, a very tasty, tantalizing price for people to want to buy, and then they get multiple offers. And then they're like, you know what? Just kidding. I don't want to put it at that tantalizing price. I'm going to raise the price up above probably their highest offer that they got. So now they're saying, you got to bring me this offer or I'm going to take that next offer that's here. So, you know, that's one tactic to use to really see what the market is offering you on your property. The market will speak to you if you do that as a seller. It's not a bad way to go. It will let you know that you've done your work to make sure to find a buyer who is willing to come in at the highest price. I hope that makes sense. If you want me to elaborate on that a little bit, I can certainly do so. So contact me anytime. If you're thinking about selling in Las Vegas, of course, I do a lot of listings. That's really where I get the bulk of my work from. But of course, I represent buyers as well. I'm going to jump right into some insights on this market watch and really what I think is super important right now. Okay, folks, there are 7,158 properties totally on the market right now. When I look at the MLS, when I look at the multiple listing service and see all of the properties available, a total of 7,158 of them. Here's what I want you to know. People ask about REOs, which are foreclosures, and short sales. So how many of that 7,158 are REOs? Because people want to know where those foreclosure deals are at. Well, if they're getting put on the multiple listing service, they're finally getting there, and only 59 of them are showing right now. Okay, 59. And I'm going to tell you that what happens with them right now is that the servicers, the sellers, basically the banks that own it, are not desperate, and there's a lot of feet dragging. That they drag their feet on these things for whatever reason. I could give you a couple of reasons why I think so. I think they have the facilities in place, the people to take care of the properties, so they aren't in a rush to sell them. They also feel like they see what's happening with inventory, so why rush to sell the asset? You know, it's kind of maybe inverse to what some people might think. They want to just get that asset sold. Well, if they really felt that way, they would probably have sold it via the auction first, because you can do a purchase of a REO with cash only prior to it hitting the multiple listing service. Okay, that is actually when it gets foreclosed on. It's a complicated process a little bit, but that's how when they really just want to get rid of it, that's how that happens. If they want more, it'll end up on the multiple listing service. Let's get into short sales. Short sales, there are all of 24 short sales. And let me tell you, most of them are junk. They're hanging around for a long time. The servicer does not want to move their feet on this at all. So the fact that there are 24 and that many of them are many days on market and have lots of problems with them. Yeah, okay, so that's a total of 83 distressed sales that I can see on the MLS right now. Not a lot. What else is hidden in this inventory? I think this is really important. The non-viable inventory. It is serious to think about right now when you already have low inventory. We had 1.8 months of supply. Now let me tell you that there is about 12% of that is not viable just because of tenants. Now, okay, I shouldn't say they're all not viable, but you have tenants in there, and that is not really conducive to most sales, especially if you're buying as a personal residence or using a VA, FHA type loan. You're limited on how long, even a conventional, how long you can have a tenant in that property for after you purchase it. So it does not make sense in many cases, especially if they have a longer lease, unless the tenant is getting bought out or they're pretty much moving out really quickly. So this really becomes non-viable inventory. Also, the tenants are not that cooperative. They don't really want to show these properties in many cases. Lastly, many of these tenant-occupied properties are not even priced well. An investor to come in and scoop up these properties and take the tenant is not really likely. Not all of them, but many of these are not viable for many buyers. That's about 12% of the inventory. You ask how much is 12%? That's about 842 properties out of 7,158. So let's take into account that you have 7,158 total properties. You're looking for this type of property, which there are X amount of, and X amount are tenant occupied, X amount are overpriced, need too much work, so on and so forth. Listen, I hate to tell you, but it's not as easy as it sounds right now to buy a property, even if you're fully qualified and ready to rock. So be ready to do a little bit of work to find your home. I'm happy to do that with you. I obviously understand what we're up against and am ready to do that. And it's not in every price range that you're going to have this type of issue. And it's not in every area either. You see a little bit more inventory, a little bit more workable areas, if you will. So anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. As you know, I titled it, Don't Buy a House in Las Vegas. That is also because many people out there are saying that in an unironic way. I have some real reasons why I think you don't do that. Obviously, I ran over those at the beginning, but some of these people are just trying to get you to check out their YouTube video. I am trying to get people to check out my YouTube video, but in a more earnest way where I want to help you if you are serious about real estate in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm always here for you, folks. Happy to help. Just give me a call, give me a text, send me an email, or throw a rock through my window with a note tied around it. I don't care how you get a hold of me, just get a hold of me when you're ready. And listen, if you liked what I had to say here, if you didn't like what I had to say here, I think you get extra credit if you talk to me in the comments. I really appreciate hearing from everybody, especially when you think I'm wrong or right. That's awesome. So have a great day. Subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to do that. And remember, I'm Rob Howe with Elite Realty, and I'm all about houses and you. Folks, have a great day. See you on the next one. Hasta la vista.